to know what your interest in breast health is. Kind of just a real quick survey in terms of what kinds of questions do you want me to answer for you tonight? Because I can go on for hours. And we have, let's aim for about 40 minutes, and then of my talking, and then opening it up again to questions that I have not responded to. But if there's something that's burning in your heart or your breast that you want to ask me about, what is it? Why'd you come here?
I want to prevent breast cancer.
She wants to prevent breast cancer. 2 of the people do.
Everybody
does.
Everybody does.
And what do you do if you have cysts that are benign?
And what do you do if you have cysts if they're benign? Good.
And I'm interested in the link between wearing bras and breast cancer.
Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. And did all of y'all read my article in Natural Triad this month?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to stay here for just a second because I want to scan through some of the pictures. This is Dr. Seralini. He's in France. He's a PhD. He's not a physician, but he does research. And he was in charge of trying to decide, do we let GMO products into France or not? And what he did was he got the same GMO, Roundup Ready GMO corn that Monsanto had used for their studies that they presented to the FDA that said, this is perfectly safe.
Right.
It's not going to form any cancer. We're fine. And what Monsanto did was they gave rats this genetically modified corn that had been sprayed with Roundup, copious amounts of Roundup. So the rats were eating Roundup and genetically modified DNA, right? And they watched these rats, they fed them from birth for 3 months. And then they stopped the study. And there were no tumors, no kind of cancer, no problems within the first 3 months. Now these rats lived for 2 years. I wonder why Monsanto stopped at 90 days. Or did they want to rush to get the stuff on, just for sale, or what? Do you know that Dr. Seralini kept on feeding the rats the genetically modified corn? And in the very next month, in the 4th month, the dames, the female rats, they were all females. No, they weren't. They were females and males. They started developing breast tumors, and this is one of the breast tumors that you're looking at. And I'm not going to go in there. I want to. Okay, not that. I don't want that.
Dr. Vaughan, do you want us to ask questions while you're going?
Absolutely. Just speak right up.
When you say they developed breast cancer, was that statistically different than the control group?
Very. Who did that? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, many more tumors than the control group. And I don't know the exact numbers. I'm looking for the picture. There you go. It was these, and there are lots of things, not to be gross, but there were lots and lots. Most of the female rats got these tumors, and male rats got other kinds of things. And I have not read the study. I've read about the study. It's all over the internet because Monsanto came down on him and tried to, squash him like a bug. And his study is valid, right? So this was and on the basis of that, basically the French government has said we are not letting GMOs in until we have further study. And this is the man who he's big enough, his presence is big enough that this is legitimate, and he watched them for long enough. So, want to reduce your risk of breast cancer? Get rid of genetically modified foods. And I can give you a whole talk on that. The website that I go to for that is the Institute for Responsible Technology. They have all kinds of information here. I need to do this like this. It doesn't work. Let me go like this. Hello. There it is. Hang on. I apologize for having my back. Go to this website and search for Darth Vader. And you will find a delightful looking woman who has a lap that's about 3 laps wide. I mean, she's a heavy-set woman, and she looks like a perfect grandmother. She's just cute as she can be. And it's about an hour-long talk. You can kind of see shorter versions of it. But this woman is, you know, she's got white hair, cute white shirt, purplish, bluish skirt, and just looks like a nice grandmother. She's a PhD at MIT, okay? And her name is, last name is Senef. And she has done a literature survey. What are all the different ways that Roundup can hurt us? All right, and so she is calling Roundup the Darth Vader element. And she's able to link it to cancer, she's able to link it to autism, to Alzheimer's disease, to obesity, to heart disease, to inflammatory bowel disease, to irritable bowel disease, you name it. I mean, so many of the illnesses that we are just seeing skyrocketing right now, she's able to link to genetically modified food, and specifically to the Roundup that is sprayed on Roundup-ready crops. And the short version is that Roundup damages our own healthy bacteria. It damages our detox system. And for you to avoid getting breast cancer, the average American has about 90 different chemicals in us. And many of them, not all of them, but many of them, the majority of them, are estrogenic. That's why we're seeing this incredible escalation in the number of women who have breast cancer, is because we are getting poisoned, and we don't have a good way of getting those toxins out of our system. Remember, the FDA, basically, they finally said, okay, we'll take bisphenol A out of baby bottles, because babies are going to be more sensitive to the estrogenic impact of bisphenol A. But they said, you know, it just floats around your system, then you pee it out. But you get exposed to it again and again and again. The CDC showed that all of us have bisphenol A floating around in our bodies. If you want to read a delightful book, it's called Slow Death by Rubber Duck, by 2 Canadian environmentalists who expose themselves to as much bisphenol A as they can, and as much triclosan, which is in the hand cleansers. If you have to have a hand sanitizer, use one that's got alcohol in it, not one that has triclosan in it. It's been associated with breast cancer and with prostate cancer. They expose themselves to the non-stick products, all kinds of things for about 48 hours. And then they tested to see how high could they raise their levels over a 48-hour period if they really exposed themselves. And their levels their triclosan shot up, I think, 20,000 times or 7,000 times. It was just huge. So there's information out there that's just wonderful. But this one, the Institute for Responsible Technology is one of many sites that tells you how to avoid genetically modified foods. You have to do this for yourself. And the one thing I will suggest to you is research I-522. It is an initiative in Washington State that's going to be voted on in early November. And they are trying, it's the same thing as Prop 37, I think, that they had in California last year, basically mandating that these large companies have to label whether or not the food contains genetically modified food in it, or genetically modified components in it. And you want to know if there's genetically modified food, and you want to go ahead and buy things that are not genetically modified.
I think if you make yourself a knowledge of which plants like soy, corn, wheat, all of these products that are genetically modified, just boycott them. And if that means not eating fast food, not eating packaged food, all of these things, you have to assume that it is genetically modified, because it is.
And number one, and isn't that a shame, right?
Yes, it is, but we have to hit them in the pocketbook.
We have to hit them in their pocketbook to make them change their ways.
Mm-hmm.
There are over 50 countries worldwide that mandate that they have to label if it's genetically modified food. The only reason we do not is because our government has been conned and has been in bed with Monsanto since the late 1980s. And if you want to read about that, read Seeds of Deception by Jeffrey Smith, and this is his website. If you want a short course on genetic modified food, he has a wonderful video that you can watch online or you can buy called Genetic Roulette.
What was the name of that website again?
The website is responsibletechnology, all one word, .org.
Thank you.
But this is why breast cancer is going through the roof, is because we have all of these different things. I mean, Roundup itself increases our risk of breast cancer. Roundup damages our phase 1 detox, where we get rid of our estrogens. So we tend to have more estrogens in our bodies than we need to. It also limits our ability to get rid of estrogenic pesticides and herbicides and dioxin and PCBs and the triclosan and all this other stuff that's out there. Okay? And you know, there's no easy way of saying this. And I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm trying to share with you, we unfortunately live in a dangerous world. And it really makes me angry that this has happened to us. But it is going to be the people. It is going to be us. And to a large degree, it's going to be women who stand up and say, no more. I want safe food for my families. I want safe food for my children. And I'm not willing to compromise my health anymore. And until we get loud, and I can get loud, y'all can just take action. But until we do that, we're going to continue to get fed food that really does damage us.
So is fibrocystic breast a precursor to breast cancer, or?
Okay, that was, yes it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now how do women, why is it that 70 to 80% of women have fibrocystic breast disease? You know, I mean, women didn't used to have fibrocystic breast disease.
Also, so large population has irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Same thing.
But I'm going to focus more. I'm going to focus more on her question. There are a number of reasons why women have so much fibrocystic breast disease. Part of it is that our diets are very deficient in minerals, very deficient in iodine. If we do not have enough iodine, we will get breast cysts. Anyone here who has breast cysts? All right.
I just got a biopsy yesterday.
A cyst. Okay. So all of you should go out, and you don't have to buy mine. There are other stores in town. I mean, you can go to Earth Fare, you can go to Whole Foods, you can go to Deep Roots. What you will buy there will be probably not quite as strong as what you can get at my store over here, which is closed, or at Natural Alternatives on New Garden Road, or Synergy Health, which used to be on here's Chapel Road, but now it's also on New Garden, down close to Battleground. All right, so there are 3 really good, slightly higher level supplement stores that you can buy these products from that I'm going to talk about for just a minute. And the reason they're more concentrated, that's the main difference than what you're going to get at some of the better health food stores in town. And so you're getting more per capsule. But every single woman here needs to be on some iodine. All right? If you don't have adequate amounts of iodine in your body, you will have breast cysts.
What is the proper way to take it?
Period, end of story. Take it with food. This is a 12.5 milligram capsule. I have women that they take 1, 2, sometimes I even have some women who are on 2 of them twice a day to get rid of breast cysts. The other thing that you can get is have your physician prescribe 50% Lugol solution. Okay, so half strength Lugol, Lugol''S, Lugol solution, and you paint it on your breast each night. Do not wear your nicest negligee to bed. Wear an old t-shirt to bed. But it will shrink it down. It'll shrink it down certainly within a month. I mean, the first thing I do if a woman comes in and she has a breast lump, if she's premenopausal, all right, I'm going to ask, okay, when was your last period? And if she's approaching her period, if she's in that 2 weeks before her period and she's noticed a lump, I'm not real worried about it. It probably is because she does not have enough progesterone which is the hormone that helps to balance out estrogen. And remember, progesterone isn't just balancing out our own natural estrogens. It's trying its darndest to balance out all of these environmental or xenoestrogens also. The probably doesn't have enough progesterone, probably doesn't have enough iodine, and probably does not have enough vitamin D, and probably doesn't have enough vitamin A. All of these, and vitamin E, are all critically important to reduce your risk of breast cancer. And like it or not, you can't get this stuff. You just can't get the amount that you need in your diet because the food's deficient. Even organic is not going to have as much as it used to have. The average pound of vegetables used to have, and this is looking at the government, composition of food book. It used to be bright red. I don't know what it is now. But the average pound of vegetables had about 400 milligrams of different kinds of minerals in it back in the 1960s when I was growing up. Now it has 25 milligrams. I mean, it's no wonder people eat more food. They can't get the nutrients in the food that they need. Okay? I mean, it's just a striking decrease in the amount of minerals. And if you don't have minerals, then none of your enzyme processes are going to work well. And you're going to kind of survive, kind of struggle through life. You're not going to have vitality. Yes?
So you say...
I'm sorry?
So even organic foods and foods that are non-GMO, you still...
Organic food is going to be better.
Right.
Okay?
But still not enough.
But it's probably still not enough. And what you do is, all you do is you just listen to your body. I mean, if you feel fabulous eating the food that you have, and if your brain is clear and you have plenty of energy and you sleep well and you can handle stress and you have endurance and you have some resiliency. Oh, is there room for improvement there?
Just a little.
Yeah. The first thing I would tell you to do is increase your B vitamins, which do not have quite as much impact on breast health, which is why they're not in my basket.
Is B50 complex?
B50 or B100, and then increase your minerals. And you can get trace minerals and put them into your water all day long. You can get mineral pills, but just get some minerals into your body. And if you don't feel better, double the dose the next month. And then if you don't feel better, see your doctor. because you should feel better. You should notice a difference in how you feel.
Any danger in overdoing the minerals as far as your brain poisoning? Or?
Not if you get a good mineral mix, quite honestly. You're not going to, because what you're talking about is increased amounts of copper, increase your risk of Alzheimer's disease, things like that, but usually they're balanced so that you have less copper and you have more zinc. All right, so generally not. And if you do get too many minerals on board, you'll taste them. You'll start getting a mineral taste in your mouth and you realize, whoa, I've got too much of one of these things in here. Okay, and you back down until the taste goes away. And hopefully you will notice that you feel better. Yes?
On the iodine, if you have thyroid Hashimoto, is it dangerous to take the iodine?
Great question. Her question was, if you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, is it dangerous to take iodine? Your conventional doctor is going to say, don't take iodine. It is going to trigger your Hashimoto's.
Yes,
Okay?
that's what I'm dealing with.
Okay. All right. So don't tell your doctor. About 5% of people who have Hashimoto's, they will get worse. I've had that happen to 2 people out of thousands of people that I have treated with thyroid disease. So I've had 2 get worse. All right. So I'm not completely writing it off, but I'm saying the odds are that you will feel so much better and your breasts will be so much happier. Breast tissue and thyroid tissue is very, very similar. That's why there's so many women who have hypothyroidism, because we don't have as much iodine in our food. And because we've got breasts, all right, some of our iodine that we take in goes to our breasts. We need even more of it going to our breasts. Not as much goes to our thyroid. So most women will benefit from taking some thyroid. Now,
Can you take iodine in addition to monothyroid?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have most people on that combination.
Okay.
The iodine that I have here, this one, it's a 12.5 milligram pill. The 12.5 milligrams was not just pulled out of the air, okay? That's how much the average Japanese woman eats a day in seaweed and in fish. So that's the dose that I tell women to be on when they're pregnant. So you're perfectly safe taking one of these a day. If you had Hashimoto's, I would say don't go over one a day, unless you know what you're
Well,
doing.
I was doing one a day, and then I was told that, so I cut back to half.
So taking additional supplements.
And you will also be reducing your risk of breast cancer at the exact same time.
And which
Now-
supplements do you recommend for decreasing the fibroid cystic disease?
Iodine, vitamin D. Those are probably the two most important ones that I use. Vitamin E, also evening primrose oil can help. I mean, that's evening
Sure.
primrose oil and vitamin E and avoiding caffeine and chocolate is what your conventional doctors say to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, you can do those things. But iodine's got a much bigger punch, and vitamin D has a much bigger
How
punch.
much vitamin D?
Enough. You need to get a 25 hydroxy vitamin D level, and you want it to be between 65 and 85 if you're trying to reduce your risk of breast cancer. Okay? Your doctor's going to say the normal range is 30 to 100. Oh, you're 31, you're just fine. I can tell you you're going to be hypothyroid if your level's just 31.
Say the dosage again, vitamin D what?
The 20, it's called 25 hydroxy. It's 25 OH vitamin D. That's the kind of vitamin, that's the level that you want to get checked, and you want it to be between 65 and 85. And at 65 to 85, that's when you reduce your risk of 16 different kinds of internal cancer, including breast cancer. That's also when you reduce your risk of autoimmune disease because your immune system is functioning in a balanced way. And that also is about where you need to have optimal function of your thyroid gland. Not your thyroid gland, but your thyroid hormones. Because vitamin D is the Velcro that holds your thyroid hormones into the receptor on every single cell. So the message can go inside the cell that says, make more energy. If your vitamin D is that low, you are a hypothyroid. And you can have normal thyroid levels floating around.
For
They
a
don't
man
do
as well?
anything. Pardon?
For a man as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And with the Hashimoto's, what is she gonna do to clear that up?
Well, that's take extra selenium, okay,
200.
and take NAC, N-acetylcysteine or glutathione to help calm down the inflammation, and probably cut out gluten. I mean, the number one thing that causes Hashimoto's thyroiditis is eating gluten in your diet. Is eating wheat and everything else that has gluten in it, and probably also casein.
I
So
have
cutting
found
dairy out.
cutting out gluten, you lose weight, everything very easily.
Well,
It's
some
wonderful.
people do, some people don't. But
Really?
it's very, very pro-inflammatory. And again, even though it's just been hybridized, there is some genetically modified wheat out there. They didn't know that.
What?
There is some genetically modified wheat out there.
All of it is.
No, it's not. Most of the wheat is not. But it is. But if you go to this website, in the last minute of Jeffrey's interview of Dr. Seneff, he says, well, everybody knows that all grains in this country are sprayed with glyphosate right before harvest. So that means that all conventional grains in this country, including lentils, millet, oats, amaranth, corn, wheat, rice. So every single gluten-free product that you buy out there that's packaged, that says it's not organic, okay, is going to have a little something extra for you. Some glyphosate.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would they spray it before harvest? It's a weed control product. And, I mean,
Because
if they're
it-
getting ready to harvest, they don't need to control the weed.
Because it dries up the plant so they
Oh,
can
to
all be
desiccate
harvested
it.
at the same
Mhm.
time. It's a
Mhm.
desiccant also.
And they do that with white potatoes also.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I know that from being on a farm.
Yeah. So you really can't avoid it. I mean, it's something between 40 and 60 of all surface water is contaminated with glyphosate out in the Midwest where they use a lot of it. The air samples all have it. It's in the water. It is in us. So what else can you do to reduce your risk of breast cancer? Is get a water filter and get a filter that filters your the water that you drink, and also that you shower in. But getting back, I'm not finished with you yet, okay? In terms of how to get rid of fibrocystic breast disease. What we think happens is that the cysts are kind of easy to get rid of. Just getting enough iodine and vitamin D into your system, quite honestly, will shrink them down. And then also have your doctor get a progesterone level on the 21st day of your cycle. If you have PMS, and by that I mean irritability, moodiness, fluid retention, breast tenderness, your weight goes up a little bit, that's a sign of having too much estrogen in your body compared to progesterone. And the treatment for that kind of breast tenderness and that kind of irritability and that kind of moodiness is not Prozac, like I heard on TV this morning, or heard on the radio this morning. It is natural progesterone. Natural progesterone functions very much like Valium in your body. It is very calming for the brain, and it balances out the estrogenic effect in your breast. And so it calms you down. Progesterone is a diuretic. If you want to reduce your risk of getting breast cancer, somewhere usually in your mid-30s, if you have relatively normal ovaries, and I'm questioning how many women have normal ovaries anymore with all the toxins, but generally women will start having some PMS in their mid-30s if they haven't had it before. And that's because your ovaries are beginning to shut down. They aren't shut down yet, but they're beginning to shut down. And the ovarian function that shuts down first is the production of progesterone. You still make enough to have periods, but you start noticing that your periods are getting longer. You kind of drip into them, then you have the period, then you kind of drip out of them, and they last maybe a week instead of 3 to 5 days. All of those are signs that you need more progesterone. So what does progesterone do for you? Besides calming down this inflammation and calming down the estrogenic effect in your breasts, it also goes out and does a search and destroy mission, and it says, let me back up. Estrogen tells cells, multiply and divide, make more of your cells. What progesterone does, it goes out and it looks at the wayward cells, the kind of like the cancer wannabe cells, and it goes out and it says, I don't like the way you 3 cells look, you die. And I don't like the way you 2 cells look, you die. And you 5 cells over there, don't like you, you look awful, you die. It triggers apoptosis. It triggers a cell mechanism by which these cells implode. Right. Now the other thing is that progesterone does for you is, so that's how it reduces your risk of breast cancer.
Is this pill or cream? And what is the dosage?
Well, it depends upon your level. Now because I can measure levels, I lean more towards pills because I can measure the level of progesterone in a woman's body. I want her progesterone level to be somewhere between 12 and 30 on the 21st day of her cycle. And
what if
just a minute. The cream is, there's over-the-counter cream that you can use. You can put it on your breasts, all right? But it's harder to measure the results. You can get saliva test. I just don't find saliva test real reliable myself. But you cannot measure a topical progesterone in your bloodstream. It will not show up. It definitely has an effect. It even has, because you can absorb and store a lot of progesterone in your fat. It definitely will calm down the uterus. I mean, it's safe to use topical progesterone. It's just very hard to measure. And as a physician, I don't want to take that extra liability on board. But if I didn't have a physician and I had really sore breasts and I was irritable and I was retaining fluid and I couldn't get a prescription for progesterone and I looked like, acted like, sounded like I had PMS, I would start my topical progesterone on day 15 of my cycle, and I would stop it on day 26, 27, 28.
So we count full moon as the day 1 of your cycle?
Well, if you cycle on, if you're postmenopausal,
yeah.
If you're postmenopausal, I would take it 21 days a month. I mean, 21 to 25 days a month. I would just stop at 5 days a month. But premenopausal, you just count the first day of your period is day 1, and on the 15th day, you start putting the progesterone on, and you keep putting it on until day 26, 27, 28,
So
and you
it's
stop.
safe to put it on your breasts?
Oh, breasts just love progesterone. Yeah, love it. Now, the other thing that all of you need to know is that, okay, let's say you're told you need a biopsy. Okay? You have a lump. We need to biopsy it and find out what it is. Okay? And what time of the month do you want to get that biopsy done? You want to do it while progesterone is around. You do want to do it the 2 weeks before your period when your progesterone levels are high. Now, if you're PMSing, maybe your progesterone levels aren't so high, so maybe you want to take some progesterone and put it on your breast before your biopsy. Okay? And that's why I will tell women, if you get a mammogram and they find something and they want to go ahead and biopsy it right now, if you are on progesterone and you know your progesterone levels are high, then fine. If you want to go ahead and do that, I would suggest that you take a deep breath and back up and kind of think about, okay, what's going on here, and make certain that's what you want to do, right? But if you do it during the luteal phase, or let's say you're postmenopausal and you're not on progesterone, or let's say you're during your follicular phase, you're during your period, or the week after your period, when your progesterone levels are going to be very, very low, you say, no, I'll come back in 2 weeks. I'll come back when I'm approaching my period. And if they say, oh, no, we have to get this done in the next couple of days, I would find somebody else to do it. But if you're frightened and you want to go ahead and get it done, you go out and you buy progesterone and you start putting progesterone all over the breast that's going to be biopsied. And you put some on in the store, and you're driving home and you put some more on your breast, and you have some before dinner, and then you have some more before you go to bed that night, and you have some more the next morning, and you just saturate that boob with progesterone, okay? Because what does progesterone do during the luteal phase when it's high, and you get a breast biopsy? What does it do? It reduces your risk of getting a positive node. It decreases the chances that if you have a breast cancer, those breast cancer cells will stay there. It makes those cells stickier. They don't tend to metastasize. So, study long time ago showed that women who had biopsies done during their luteal phase, okay, right before their period, had a much lower risk, who had breast cancer, had a much lower risk of having a positive node a week to 10 days to 2 weeks to a month later. So progesterone is reducing the chances that a breast cancer, if you have one, is going to metastasize. Right. So you don't let them do the biopsy until you have doused your breast with progesterone. You wait at least a day to get the progesterone levels up. And it gets absorbed very quickly. It's very fat soluble. It'll just go.
Can you overdose on that? I mean, like how long?
Oh, sure.
How many days?
Sure.
you do that?
Yeah, you can overdose, but it's not going to happen short term. Okay, I'm not suggesting that you do that every day for the rest of your life. But no, it's short term. That's what I would do, and that's exactly what I tell my patients to do.
So massaging your breast doesn't help break up fibrous tissue or anything?
Does massaging your breast help to break up fibrous tissue? The problem is that once you've got fibrous tissue, that's scar tissue. And it's very, very difficult to break it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not heard of anyone who successfully did that. Now, if I had a woman who really had problems, what would I give her? Enzymes. I give her enzymes, I give her plant enzymes in between her meals, 4 or 5 pills at a time, 3 times a day.
Which enzymes? The digestive enzymes, do you mean?
Well, it's the digestive enzymes, the plant digestive enzymes, like bromelain, for example, and there are lots and lots of them. I can't name all of them, but I would give them different plant enzymes. There's a product out of Germany called Wobenzyme that's been around for a long time. It's wonderful for plantar fasciitis. It's wonderful for joint pain. It also helps. And what it's doing is it's helping clean up scar tissue. So if a woman wanted to try to get less lumpy, bumpy breasts after she got rid of the cysts, okay, because most of the lumpy bumpiness comes from the cysts. But if you've still got a lot of fibrous tissue, I would try using enzymes. I cannot tell you that I've actually had that happen, because most women, the pain comes from the cysts. And I know that when their pain goes away, their cysts are going away, and they can feel it. They can tell it's happening. And they don't worry so much about the fibrotic changes. All right, and you're treating your breast to keep it from forming breast cancer. Remember, breast cancer can only grow. It can only develop in it. It can only grow in your breast if you let it. If you change the environment in your breast, so you increase your vitamin D, you increase your iodine, you do a cleanse once or twice a year, you incorporate some cleansing herbs into your diet, so that you're basically cleansing every single day, which is really what we need to do because there's so many toxins out there. You look so sad.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to take all this.
I'm so sorry. Okay, all right.
Not sad at all.
Yeah, okay. I do tend to overwhelm people. And that's why I asked, what do y'all want to know?
What do you think of fish oil?
Just a minute, I'm still finishing answering her question. Fish oil is wonderful. I mean, that reduces your risk of breast cancer because it's changing the environment in your breast. It's reducing inflammation. I mean, the very best anti-inflammatory out there is fish oil. So people need to be on fish oil or sardines. And well, salmon, but you wonder, I'm beginning to worry about the, how much it's going to get contaminated by Fukushima and things like that, unfortunately. So some people are beginning to, in my crowd, that are beginning to get Geiger counters and all kinds of stuff. I'm still eating salmon from Alaska. And I'm taking some laminaria with it, which is a seaweed that binds up the cesium that is pouring into the seas.